Stop right there. This everyday routine leads to memory loss in seniors. There's an activity most of us engage in without a second thought, believing it's completely safe. But what if I told you it's quietly harming your mind and eroding your clear thinking? If you're over 60 or looking forward to those later years and have started misplacing items, struggling with names, or repeatedly asking the same questions, pay close attention. These aren't just signs of aging. This common routine triggers inflammation in the brain, damaging crucial cells and resulting in forgetfulness and confusion. Hardly anyone talks about it. Medical professionals are often too busy, but in my experience, I've seen it happen far too often. In this video, I will reveal 10 everyday routines that are quietly harming your mental health, alongside simple, no-cost solutions to implement immediately. These changes can protect your thinking, enhance your memory, and help you truly enjoy life through your 60s, 70s, and beyond. I've helped people like James, a former teacher who initially brushed off his memory lapses as just part of life. His transformation was eye-opening, and you'll hear more about that shortly. But first, if this sounds familiar, type yes in the comments. It shows me you're following along and reminds others they're not alone. All right, let's dive in. Routine number 1. Staying seated for too long. Let's talk about the quiet sitter. I often think of James, a retired teacher who was 67 when he first visited me. He spent hours in his comfortable chair, engrossed in books, watching shows, or solving puzzles on his device. He would sheepishly say, "Doctor, my job always involved sitting, and now in retirement, it's the same. I enjoy being still, but I'm unsure how to start moving more." I could see he spent nearly the entire day without getting up, and he genuinely wondered if this affected his mind. Well, sitting for long stretches reduces blood flow to the brain, which needs a constant supply to stay healthy and alert. When you sit for too long, you also lower levels of the beneficial chemicals that keep your mood elevated and your mind sharp. The fix is simple. Don't stay in one spot for too long. Set a timer to remind you every half hour. When it goes off, stand up, stretch your arms and legs, and take a short walk, even if it's just around your home or to another room and back. Movement isn't just good for your body, it refreshes your brain, boosts your mood, and makes it easier to remember things. Think of it like opening a window in a stuffy room to let in fresh air. James was skeptical at first, but after just 2 weeks of this small adjustment, he returned looking much brighter. Do you find yourself sitting for extended periods without breaks? Share your experience in the comments so we can connect. Add to routine number 2. Cutting back on rest to fit in more tasks. Next up is the rest stealer. Many times, I've noticed that individuals in their 60s and 70s sit across from me, proudly declaring, "Doctor, I don't need much rest. I stay up late and rise early to enjoy every moment." They wear it like a badge of honor. But I take a deep breath whenever I hear this, because hidden in that mindset is one of the biggest threats to clear thinking I encounter regularly. Sleep, often viewed as wasted time, is crucial for keeping your mind fresh. When you cut back on sleep, particularly those deep stages that happen later at night, your brain misses an essential cleanup process. Imagine your brain has a waste removal system that kicks in during sleep to eliminate harmful buildup. The power of good rest is remarkable. When Sarah started a simple wind-down routine, getting morning sunlight, having a light evening meal, avoiding screens before bedtime, and practicing deep breathing, she returned with a renewed sense of energy. I sleep more now, but most importantly, it's quality sleep. I wake feeling refreshed and remember details from the previous day better. Research clearly shows that during deep sleep, your brain sorts through experiences, removes waste, balances emotions, and builds stronger connections between cells. Skipping this process is like shutting down a computer without saving your work. Eventually, errors will emerge. Routine number 3, depending too heavily on stimulants. Then there's the fake booster. The aroma of fresh tea or coffee in the morning is delightful, isn't it? That first sip feels like a cozy start to the day. For years, I viewed this habit as harmless, something to help power through busy days. But from my experience in mental health, I've discovered an uncomfortable truth. Too much caffeine can disrupt memory and mental stability. Stimulants like caffeine aren't harmful in moderation. They provide a natural boost by activating certain brain functions and masking fatigue. The issue isn't the drink itself, but how much and when you consume it. What starts as a gentle push can lead to an overwhelming strain on your system. Over time, relying on stimulants can exacerbate stress, raise cortisol levels, and muddle your mental patterns. This impact is especially significant for those later in life, as their systems react more strongly and eliminate stimulants more slowly. I gently told William, too many stimulants not only tire your nerves, but also affect your sleep. Key for memory consolidation. They block essential brain chemicals required for focus and recall. So we implemented a simple test. William limited himself to 1 serving of caffeine before noon and switched to herbal teas or infused water for the rest of the day. After 10 days, he returned surprised. "Doctor, my sleep is deeper, and that midday confusion is gone. Oddly, I don't crave coffee anymore." I smiled and explained, "That's what happens when your body regains its natural energy balance. Reducing caffeine allows your system to recover, resulting in improved focus and emotional stability." Routine number 4, eating poorly with processed foods. Now let's discuss the impacts of poor diet, specifically factory-made items and overly hot foods. I remember meeting Charles, a 69-year-old man who entered my office looking confused and fatigued. "Doctor," he said, "I've cut out sugary drinks and tried to move more, but the afternoons still feel hazy. I struggle to connect my thoughts and often forget words." He believed he was on the right track, yet his mind wasn't keeping pace. I explained, "What you eat establishes the framework for your thoughts. If your diet includes items that promote inflammation, it affects your mental function too." Research links diets high in processed foods to increased risks of memory decline, poor mood, and lasting forgetfulness. This relationship develops because these foods disturb your digestive health, which can affect mood and concentration. I suggested gradual changes for Charles instead of drastic bans. He swapped processed meats for baked chicken or fish and replaced packaged snacks with a small handful of nuts, like almonds or walnuts. Including more greens, fresh fruits, and cutting back on strong flavors improved not just his diet, but also his mental clarity. 3 weeks later, Charles returned with newfound energy and enthusiasm. "Doctor," he grinned, "I feel like my old self again, clearer, steadier, and less irritable." No new medication or expensive supplements, just better communication between his diet and brain. How do you see the connection between food and mental clarity? Share your thoughts in the comments. Routine number 5. Exposure to secondhand smoke. Another hidden danger I want to address is the effects of being around others who smoke. Not long after my conversation with Charles, I noticed a familiar scent in my office, a stale, acrid smell that clung to the curtains. I looked up to see an elderly gentleman chatting with his partner. His jacket carried the unmistakable odor of cigarettes. What many don't realize is that you don't need to smoke to be affected by tobacco. The mind is sensitive to external toxins. Each puff releases thousands of chemicals that linger in the air, affecting those nearby. Even indirect exposure can constrict blood vessels and reduce oxygen levels, leading to mild inflammation. This is particularly concerning for seniors, as their cardiovascular systems may be more vulnerable. The ongoing low-level irritation impacts memory centers in the brain, where cells process information rapidly. In an unhealthy environment, these connections can weaken and slow down. When Edward shared, "I feel sluggish, like my thoughts get stuck," it was a direct consequence of this exposure. I suggested, next time, host the gathering at your home with a no-smoking rule. You can still enjoy time with friends without risking your mental health. Have you noticed how secondhand smoke affects your concentration? Share your ideas below. Routine. Number 6. Ignoring early warning signs. Another pattern I've observed is the tendency to overlook early mental warnings. Many people aren't afraid of cognitive decline. They're afraid of recognizing it. So I often meet individuals who dismiss their symptoms, saying things like, "Oh, it's just a slip. I must be tired." These dismissals can be among the most destructive habits for the mind. At one follow-up appointment, a patient arrived with a notebook. "I've noticed," she remarked, "that I tend to mess up more when I haven't slept well or during stressful family discussions, and I forget plans if I eat late." For the first time, she was tracking her signs, and that reflection was crucial. This dismissal of early warning signals is akin to ignoring a small crack in a foundation. Minor at first, but eventually it can lead to greater problems. Each forgetful moment or lapse indicates a need for attention. Ignoring them teaches the brain not to alert you anymore. This is why it's essential to notice early signs. It's not about being pessimistic. It's about caring proactively for your mind. When you acknowledge these signs, you supply your mind the necessary attention, which helps it thrive. What early warnings have you overlooked? Let's share those experiences in the comments. Routine number 7, carrying extra weight. Let's touch on the extra weight around the middle. One morning, Richard, 65, came in, placing a hand on his abdomen with a casual grin. "Doctor, I know I've gained some weight around the waist, but can it really cause issues?" His demeanor suggested he viewed this as a minor concern. I took a moment to answer honestly, "More than you think, Richard. Even a 5% loss can greatly improve your circulation, blood sugar levels, and cognitive function. You don't need to become an athlete to feel this benefit. Simple shifts like walking in the morning, hydrating with plain water instead of sugary drinks, and incorporating more greens in your diet can make a difference. Your waistline can tell a powerful story. Gaining weight around the midsection leads to a buildup of chemical signals that can blur connections between your body and mind, slowing blood flow to the brain. Losing just a little can help improve focus, memory, and overall clarity. Have you noticed changes in your body weight as you age? Share your story. Routine number 8, not managing stress. From everything we've discussed, the most significant influence on your mental health could very well be stress. It's a term that's thrown around so often it can feel meaningless, yet few track its effects on their health. I remember Victor, 70, who appeared calm and collected on the outside, but deep down, he was drained from long-standing emotional pressure. When I recommended simple breathing exercises like inhaling for 4 counts and exhaling for 6, he was skeptical. But those deep breaths signaled to Victor's mind that it was time to relax. Together, we reviewed his daily habits and implemented gentle nature walks to lower stress signals naturally. What methods do you use to combat stress? Post your strategies in the comments. Routine number 9. Overeating processed foods. Another area to examine is the overconsumption of processed foods. The smell of grilled meats and sausages at a gathering can be inviting, but many don't realize that excess processed items can play a role in cognitive decline. Studies repeatedly link diets high in these foods to higher risks of memory loss and decreased mental functions. When I explained this connection to my patients, they often express surprise. Yet it's important to understand that the additives and unhealthy fats in prepared foods can increase inflammation. I advised one of my patients to switch back to whole foods, emphasizing how the body and mind rely on nourishment from unprocessed sources. How often do you consume processed foods? Let's start a conversation. Routine number 10. Neglecting regular checkups. Finally, let's talk about neglecting routine health visits. George, 67, walked into my office, appearing composed but uneasy. He discussed memory lapses, looking for any explanation. As we talked, it became clear he hadn't had a checkup in over a year. When I mentioned the importance of regular health screenings, he realized his negligence might be hindering his cognitive function. We discussed the need for yearly visits, not only for physical conditions, but also for mental acuity. How often do you visit your doctor? Share your thoughts below. Conclusion. In closing, we've explored 10 key routines that may silently contribute to memory issues, but knowing is only the first step. Action follows. What will your commitment be after watching this? Will you rise every half hour? Aim for quality sleep. Schedule that long overdue checkup. Share your pledge in the comments to inspire others. If this content inspired you, give us a like. It means so much. Subscribe to stay updated with our educational journey and receive more valuable insights. Lastly, consider sharing this with someone you care about. Your gesture could truly brighten their path toward better mental health. Thank you for watching. Stay well, stay sharp, and see you next time.